When I'm in the car going to the rink or my parents' work, or just driving around downtown to get my skates sharpened, I notice that there is an overabundance of homeless people living on the street. One night, I was driving home from a Padres game, when right as we were turning onto the freeway, I noticed there was a whole row of tents set up. I saw what looked like a mother and her young daughter come out of one of the tents. I felt so bad for the mother because she was trying her best to raise a child, but didn't have a house to raise her in. I wondered if she had thought about putting her daughter up for adoption or putting her in the foster system, as people did during the Great Depression. I also wondered how she got into that situation, especially since California has the third highest amount of billionaires and the fifth biggest economy in the world. So why is the amount of unsheltered homeless people so high? California holds just about a quarter of the homeless population of the United States. While I was researching homelessness, I realized there were 4 different categories in which you could place the reason for homelessness: political, economic, individual, and mental health or physical disabilities. The government tries to address homelessness but is remarkably inefficient. For instance, in Los Angeles, voters raised $1.2 billion to build 10,000 housing units for the homeless, but in truth would only create about half that amount, and it would take 10 years to construct. It was estimated that each unit would cost around $370,000, but actually ended up being approximately $531,000 per unit. We found many condos on Zillow listed for less than $500,000. Most people have seen the problem, especially if they have traveled to places like San Francisco, LA, San Jose, or San Diego. However, there are more homeless people you can't see. Not all homeless people live on the streets. Some of them live in shelters, single occupancy rooms, motels or hotels. Some stay with friends and family. Some live in vehicles. And sometimes families or communities may decide to live in encampments. These are places where a large number of people set up tents to camp together. It costs $13 to house someone at the St. Vincent de Paul shelter in San Diego for one night, or $4,628 per year. A far cry from the $500,000 it took to build one unit in the Los Angeles housing units. The average rent for an 877 square foot apartment in San Diego is $2,223. This means you would have to earn $12.83 per hour for a 40-hour work week just to pay for rent, excluding food, utilities, and taxes. Some reasons why California's housing costs are so high is because several people want to live in California, but there's not enough housing. High-tech industries have caused a high demand for urban housing. Proposition 13 encourages the government to build more commercial properties than personal properties. The process of getting permits is time-consuming and expensive, not to mention the labor, land, and materials cost more in California than the rest of the United States. One of the leading causes of homelessness is substance abuse. People with substance abuse can get estranged from their families, lose their job, or struggle to pay their bills, all of which can cause them to lose their homes. People who become homeless may turn to drugs or alcohol to cope with the harsh living conditions. Motivation to stop may be low because, for most people, survival is more important than getting better. More leading causes of homelessness are job loss, divorce, eviction, being kicked out by a family member, and domestic violence. The most common mental disorders in the homeless community are depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and anxiety. Studies show that homelessness can exacerbate existing mental illnesses because being homeless is traumatic, and homeless people are more susceptible to violent attacks. The economic and political issues are too complicated for my young teenage mind and experience to solve. However, you can help by giving to local charities, donating to food and clothing drives, and using your spare time to volunteer at a homeless shelter. One of my favorites is the St. Vincent de Paul Village because they provide shelter to people dealing with situational homelessness as well as helping people dealing with long-term homelessness. They also address the physical and mental needs of those in the shelter by providing psychiatrists, dentists, doctors, nurses, and physicians. They have emergency shelters for people who are temporarily homeless. They also give subsidies to people with disabilities. They work with veterans to help get them back on their feet. And they offer help with job searches, job training, and work with businesses to match clients with appropriate jobs. The economy, politics, mental illness, and situation are the main issues causing homelessness. The quickest and most effective solution, in my opinion, is to address the situational and mental health issues by donating to local charities like St. Vincent de Paul's Village. I'm Sophia Eisen. Thank you for listening, and please donate.